Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something very useful. We will talk about how to use simple English. Many people think English is difficult. They believe they need big words and long sentences to speak well. But that is not true. Simple English is powerful. It helps people understand you clearly. It helps you communicate with confidence. Most importantly, it makes learning English easier and more enjoyable. Chapter 1. Why Simple English is Important. Let me tell you a story. When I first started learning English, I wanted to sound very smart. I searched for difficult words and tried to use them in every conversation. I thought people would be impressed. But something surprising happened. Many people did not understand what I was trying to say. Sometimes I even used the words incorrectly. I felt confused and frustrated. Then one day, a teacher gave me some advice. She said, "Use simple words first. Clear communication is more important than difficult vocabulary." That advice changed everything for me. Simple English means using easy words and short sentences. It does not mean your English is weak. In fact, many good speakers use simple English every day. They know that communication is about helping others understand. If people understand your message, then you are speaking successfully. That is the real goal of language. Imagine you want to tell someone that you are happy. You can say, "I am happy today." This sentence is simple and clear. Everyone understands it. You do not need a long and complicated sentence. The simple sentence does the job perfectly. This is why simple English is so useful. When you use simple English, you feel more confident. Many learners are afraid to speak because they worry about making mistakes. They spend too much time thinking about difficult grammar or advanced vocabulary. As a result, they stay quiet. But when you focus on simple English, speaking becomes easier. You can express your ideas without too much stress. I remember meeting a traveler from another country. His English was not perfect, but he spoke clearly. He used simple words and short sentences. Everyone understood him. People enjoyed talking with him because communication was easy. He taught me an important lesson. You do not need perfect English to have good conversations. You only need clear English. Another reason simple English is important is that it helps you learn faster. When you start with easy words, you build a strong foundation. Think about building a house. Before you build the roof, you need strong walls. Before you build the walls, you need a solid foundation. Learning English works the same way. Simple words and basic sentences are the foundation. Once you master them, you can learn more advanced English later. Reading simple English is also very helpful. Start with easy stories, short articles, or children's books. These materials use common words and simple sentence structures. As you read, you become familiar with how English works. You learn new vocabulary naturally. Little by little, your understanding grows. I once read a very simple story about a boy and his dog. The story was not complicated, but I learned many useful words from it. I learned words like friend, walk, park, happy, and home. These words appear often in everyday conversations. Because I learned them in a simple story, I remembered them easily. Listening is another important part of using simple English. Listen to people who speak clearly. Listen to simple podcasts, beginner lessons, or short videos. Pay attention to the words they use. You will notice that many speakers repeat common vocabulary. They do not always use difficult expressions. Instead, they focus on being clear and understandable. Practice is very important too. Try using simple English every day. Talk about your morning. Describe your family. Explain what you ate for lunch. These topics do not require advanced vocabulary. They allow you to practice basic English in a natural way. The more you practice, the more comfortable you become. When I was learning, I created a simple habit. Every evening, I spoke to myself in English for 5 minutes. I talked about my day. I used short sentences. Sometimes I made mistakes, but I kept going. After a few months, I noticed a big improvement. My speaking became smoother, and I felt more confident. Another good tip is to avoid translating complicated ideas from your native language. Instead, think about how to express the idea simply. If a sentence feels too difficult, break it into smaller sentences. This makes communication easier and reduces mistakes. Remember that simple English is used everywhere. Teachers use it when explaining new ideas. News reporters use it when sharing information. Business professionals use it when talking to international clients. Even skilled writers often choose simple words because they know readers appreciate clarity.
So, always remember this important lesson. Simple English is not bad English. Simple English is effective English. It helps people understand you. It helps you learn faster. It helps you speak with confidence. Start with simple words, simple sentences, and simple conversations. Over time, your skills will grow naturally. In the next chapter, we will talk about how to build simple English sentences and how to express your ideas clearly in everyday conversations. Chapter 2. How to build simple English sentences. Many English learners think they need long sentences to sound fluent, but that is not true. Simple sentences are often the best sentences. They are easy to understand, easy to remember, and easy to use. When you learn how to build simple sentences, you create a strong foundation for speaking and writing English. When I was learning English, I often tried to create very long sentences. I wanted to include many ideas in one sentence. Sometimes I forgot the grammar. Sometimes I forgot important words. My sentences became confusing. One day, my teacher told me something very helpful. She said, "One idea, one sentence." That simple advice made my English much better. Let's start with the basic structure of a sentence. Most simple English sentences follow this pattern: subject plus verb plus object. For example, I eat apples. She reads books. They play football. These sentences are simple, but they are complete. They tell us who is doing something and what they are doing. Think of a sentence as a small building. The subject is the person or thing. The verb is the action. The object is what receives the action. When these parts work together, they create a clear message. When I first learned this pattern, I practiced it every day. I looked around my room and made simple sentences. The fan moves air. The clock shows time. The chair is comfortable. The window is open. This exercise helped me become comfortable with sentence building. You can do the same. Look around you right now and make simple English sentences about what you see. Another important type of sentence uses the verb to be. For example, I am happy. She is tired. They are students. The weather is nice. These sentences are very common in everyday English. We use them to describe people, places, things, and feelings. I remember practicing these sentences in front of a mirror. Every morning I described myself. I am awake, I am ready, I am excited. At first it felt strange, but it helped me become more confident with English. Now let's talk about adding details. Once you are comfortable with basic sentences, you can make them a little longer. For example, I eat apples. I eat apples every day. I eat apples every day after lunch. Notice how the sentence becomes more detailed without becoming complicated. This is a great way to improve your English. Start with a simple sentence, then add small pieces of information. Let's look at another example. She studies English. She studies English every evening. She studies English every evening with her friends. Again, the sentence grows step by step. This method helps you speak naturally and clearly. Another useful skill is asking questions. Questions are important because they help us communicate with other people. Some simple questions are, what is your name? Where do you live? How are you? What do you like? When do you study? These questions are used every day in conversations. I remember meeting new people while learning English. I was nervous at first, but I learned a few simple questions and practiced them often. Soon, I could start conversations easily. Asking questions helped me learn more about people and improve my speaking skills. You should also learn how to answer questions simply. For example, what is your name? My name is Asmat. Where do you live? I live in a small town. What do you like? I like reading books. Simple answers are often the best answers. Another important tip is to avoid making sentences too long. Sometimes learners connect many ideas with and, but, or because. This can create confusion. Instead of saying, I woke up early and I ate breakfast and I went to school and I met my friend and we played football and then I came home. You can say, I woke up early. I ate breakfast. Then I went to school. I met my friend. We played football. After that, I came home. The second version is much clearer and easier to understand. When I started breaking long sentences into shorter ones, people understood me much better. My speaking became more organized. My confidence grew. Another useful habit is describing your daily routine using simple sentences. For example, I wake up at 6 o'clock. I brush my teeth. I eat breakfast. I go to work. I come home in the evening. I watch television. I go to bed. These simple sentences help you practice common vocabulary and grammar. They are perfect for beginners. I used to write my daily routine in a notebook every evening. At first, my sentences were very short. Over time, they became more detailed. This simple practice improved both my writing and speaking. Let's also talk about using common words. Many learners spend too much time memorizing difficult vocabulary. Instead, focus on words you use every day. Words like go, come, eat, drink, walk, read, write, sleep, work, study. These words appear in many conversations. Mastering them will help you communicate much more effectively than learning rare words. Another helpful exercise is keeping a sentence journal. Every day, write 5 simple sentences. For example, today is sunny. I drank tea. My friend called me. I learned a new word. I feel happy. This habit only takes a few minutes, but it can improve your English greatly over time. Remember, building simple English sentences is like learning to walk. First, you take small steps. Then you become stronger. Eventually, you can move easily and confidently. Do not worry about creating perfect sentences. Focus on creating clear sentences. The more simple sentences you build, the easier English becomes. Every sentence is practice. Every sentence helps you improve. Every sentence brings you closer to fluency. In the next chapter, we will learn how to use simple English in everyday conversations and how to speak naturally with other people. Chapter 3. Using simple English in everyday conversations. Many people study English for years, but they still feel nervous when talking to others. Why does this happen? Often they know many words, but they do not practice real conversations. The good news is that everyday conversations do not require difficult English. Most daily conversations use simple words and simple sentences. When I first spoke English with a stranger, I was very nervous. I worried about making mistakes. I wanted every sentence to be perfect. As a result, I spoke very slowly. Then I realized something important. The other person did not care about perfect grammar. They only wanted to understand me. Once I focused on communication instead of perfection, speaking became much easier. Let's start with greetings. Greetings are the first step in many conversations. They are usually very simple. For example, hello, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? These expressions are used every day. Learning them well can help you start conversations confidently. When someone asks, "How are you?" you can answer simply, "I'm fine. I am good. I am doing well. I am happy today. I am a little tired." Simple answers work perfectly. I remember practicing greetings every day. Whenever I met someone, I tried to greet them in English. At first, it felt uncomfortable, but after some time, it became natural. Another common conversation topic is introducing yourself. For example, hello, my name is Ali. I am a student. I live in Pakistan. I like reading books. These simple sentences help people learn about you. When I started learning English, I practiced my introduction many times. I said it in front of a mirror. I said it while walking. I said it before going to sleep. Eventually, introducing myself became easy. Asking simple questions is another important skill. You can ask, "What is your name? Where are you from? What do you do? What are your hobbies? Do you like sports?" These questions help keep conversations going. Imagine you meet a new friend. You say, "Hello, my name is Ahmed." The other person says, "Hello, my name is Sarah." You ask, "Where are you from?" She answers, "I am from Canada." You ask, "Do you like reading?" She says, "Yes, I do." This conversation is simple, but it is meaningful. Real conversations often look exactly like this. Another useful topic is talking about your daily activities. For example, I work in an office. I study English every day. I like watching movies. I walk in the park every evening. These sentences help you share information about your life. When I was learning English, I often talked about my daily routine. It was easy because I already knew the information. I only needed to learn how to express it in English. Let's talk about listening. Good conversations are not only about speaking. Listening is equally important. When someone speaks, pay attention carefully. Listen to the words. Listen to the meaning. Do not focus only on what you want to say next. I remember having a conversation with an English speaker. I was so busy planning my next sentence that I missed half of what he said. After that experience, I learned to listen more carefully. My conversations improved immediately. Another useful skill is asking for clarification. Sometimes you do not understand something. That is completely normal. You can say, "Can you repeat that, please? Can you speak more slowly? What does that mean? I do not understand." These phrases are very useful. Many learners feel embarrassed when they do not understand. But asking questions is better than pretending to understand. Most people are happy to help. I used these phrases many times when I was learning. They helped me continue conversations instead of becoming confused. Let's also talk about making simple comments. For example, "That is interesting." "I agree." "That sounds great." "Really?" "That is wonderful." These short expressions make conversations feel natural and friendly. I remember talking with a friend about travel. I did not know many advanced words, but I used simple comments like, "That sounds exciting," and "Really?" The conversation flowed smoothly because I stayed engaged. Another important tip is to speak slowly. Many learners think speaking fast means speaking well. This is not true. Speaking clearly is much more important. When you speak slowly, you have more time to think. You make fewer mistakes. People understand you better. I used to rush through my sentences because I was nervous. Sometimes people could not understand me. When I started speaking more slowly, my communication improved immediately. Practice is very important. Try having small conversations every day. You can talk with friends, family members, classmates, teachers, online language partners. Even a 5-minute conversation can help you improve. When I was learning English, I made a goal to have at least one English conversation every day. Some conversations were very short. Others lasted much longer. But every conversation helped me grow. Another good habit is talking to yourself in English. This may sound strange, but it works. Describe what you are doing. "I am making tea." "I am reading a book." "I am cleaning my room." "I am watching television." This simple practice builds confidence and improves fluency. Remember that mistakes are part of learning. Every English speaker has made mistakes. Every learner makes mistakes. Mistakes help us improve. I made countless mistakes when I was learning English. Sometimes I used the wrong word. Sometimes I used incorrect grammar. But I kept practicing. Slowly, I improved. The most important thing is to communicate. Do not wait until your English is perfect. Start speaking now. Use simple words. Use simple sentences. Focus on sharing your ideas. The more conversations you have, the stronger your English becomes. Every conversation is a chance to learn. Every conversation is a chance to grow. Every conversation brings you closer to confidence. In the next chapter, we will learn how reading simple English can improve your vocabulary, grammar, and overall language skills. Chapter 4. How reading simple English improves your skills. Now let's talk about another powerful way to improve your English. Reading. Reading is one of the best habits you can develop. It helps you learn new words, understand grammar, improve your spelling, and become more confident with English. The best part is that you do not need difficult books to start. Simple English reading materials can teach you a lot. When I first started learning English, I thought I needed to read difficult novels. I bought a thick book with many advanced words. After reading only a few pages, I felt tired and frustrated. I understood very little. Then a teacher suggested that I start with simple stories instead. I followed her advice and everything changed. The first simple book I read was a short story about a boy and his bicycle. The language was easy to understand. The sentences were short. The story was interesting. Because I understood most of it, I enjoyed reading. That experience taught me an important lesson. Simple reading can be very powerful. When you read simple English, you see common words again and again. Repetition helps you remember vocabulary naturally. For example, if you read a story about a family, you might see words like mother, father, brother, sister, house, room, food, school. Because these words appear many times, they become familiar. You begin to remember them without trying too hard. I remember reading simple stories every evening. At first, I learned only a few new words each week, but after several months, my vocabulary became much larger. The improvement happened little by little. Reading also teaches grammar naturally. Many learners spend hours studying grammar rules. Grammar is important, but reading shows you how grammar works in real life. For example, when you read sentences like, I go to school every day. She likes music. They play football after class. You begin to notice sentence patterns. Your brain starts recognizing correct English automatically. I often noticed that after reading regularly, some grammar rules felt natural. I did not always remember the rule, but I knew when a sentence sounded correct. Reading helped me develop this skill. Another benefit of reading is improved spelling. English spelling can be difficult. Some words are not spelled the way they sound. The more you read, the more familiar these words become. When I first learned words like beautiful, enough, and through, I found them difficult to spell. But after seeing them many times in books and articles, I remembered them more easily. Reading also helps you think in English. Many learners translate every word into their native language. This can slow down learning. When you read simple English regularly, you begin to understand directly in English. I remember reading a simple story one day and realizing that I understood the sentences without translating them. It felt wonderful. That moment showed me that my English was improving. Let's talk about choosing the right reading materials. As a beginner, start with easy content. You can read children's books, short stories, simple news articles, English learning books, easy blog posts, graded readers. These materials use simple vocabulary and clear sentence structures. Do not worry if the material seems too easy. Easy reading builds confidence and creates a strong foundation. I spent months reading children's stories. Some people thought those books were too simple, but they helped me learn basic vocabulary and sentence patterns. Later, I moved on to more advanced books. Another useful habit is reading aloud. When you read aloud, you practice several skills at once. You improve pronunciation, speaking, listening, reading, confidence. I used to read aloud for 10 minutes every day. At first, I made many pronunciation mistakes, but over time, my speaking became much smoother. Reading aloud also helps you notice punctuation. When you see periods, commas, and question marks, you learn where to pause and how sentences flow. This improves both reading and speaking. Another good tip is to keep a vocabulary notebook. When you find a new word, write it down. For example, word, journey, meaning, a trip from one place to another. Sentence, my journey to school takes 20 minutes. Writing new words helps you remember them. I carried a small notebook everywhere. Whenever I found a useful word, I added it to my list. Later, I reviewed the words and practiced using them in sentences. Do not try to learn every new word you see. Focus on useful words that appear often. These words will help you the most in daily conversations. Another important tip is not to stop every time you see an unfamiliar word. Many learners look up every unknown word immediately. This can interrupt the reading experience. Sometimes try to guess the meaning from the context. For example, the boy was hungry, so he ate a sandwich. Even if you do not know the word hungry, the sentence helps you understand its meaning. Learning words through context is a valuable skill. Reading also increases your confidence. Every book you finish is an achievement. Every page you read makes you stronger. Every new word you learn becomes another tool you can use. I remember finishing my first English book. It was not a long book, but I felt proud. That success motivated me to keep reading and learning. Most importantly, choose topics you enjoy. If you like sports, read sports articles. If you like animals, read animal stories. If you enjoy travel, read travel blogs. When you enjoy the topic, reading feels less like studying and more like fun. Remember, reading is not a race. You do not need to finish a book quickly. Read at your own pace. Understand what you can. Learn a little each day. The more you read, the more comfortable English becomes. Reading opens doors to new words, new ideas, and new opportunities. It is one of the most effective ways to improve your English skills. In the next chapter, we will learn how writing in simple English can help you become a better speaker, reader, and communicator. Chapter 5. How writing simple English helps you improve. Many people think writing is difficult. They worry about grammar mistakes, spelling errors, and vocabulary. Because of this, they avoid writing. But writing is one of the best ways to improve your English. The more you write, the more comfortable you become with the language. When I first started learning English, I was afraid to write. Every time I looked at a blank page, I felt nervous. I thought my writing had to be perfect. One day, my teacher gave me a simple assignment. She asked me to write 5 sentences about my day. Only 5 sentences. It sounded easy, so I tried it. I wrote, I woke up early. I ate breakfast. I went to school. I studied English. I watched television. The sentences were simple, but they were correct. My teacher smiled and said, "This is good writing because it is clear." That day, I learned an important lesson. Good writing does not need complicated words. Good writing needs clear ideas. Writing helps you remember vocabulary. When you write a word, you use it actively. This helps your brain remember it better. For example, if you learn the word happy, you can write, I am happy today. My friend is happy. Happy people smile a lot. By using the word several times, it becomes easier to remember. I used to write new vocabulary words in sentences every day. This simple habit helped me remember hundreds of useful words. Writing also improves grammar. When you write, you have time to think about your sentences. You can check your grammar and correct mistakes. This helps you understand English structure more clearly. For example, incorrect. She go to school. Correct. She goes to school. When you notice and fix mistakes, you learn from them. I often reviewed my old writing. Sometimes I found grammar mistakes. Instead of feeling disappointed, I use those mistakes as learning opportunities. Another benefit of writing is that it improves your speaking. Many people do not realize this connection. When you write sentences, you practice organizing your thoughts. Later, when you speak, it becomes easier to express those thoughts. I noticed that after writing regularly, I could speak more smoothly. The sentence patterns I practiced in writing started appearing naturally in conversations. One of the easiest ways to practice writing is by keeping a journal. A journal is simply a notebook where you write about your life. You can write about your day, your family, your hobbies, your plans, your dreams, your feelings. For example, today was a good day. I studied English for 1 hour. I learned 5 new words. Then I watched a movie with my family. I feel happy because I am improving my English. This paragraph is simple, but it provides excellent practice. I kept a journal for many years while learning English. Looking back at my old entries showed me how much I had improved over time. Another useful activity is writing about pictures. Look at a picture and describe what you see. For example, there is a park. 2 children are playing. The sun is shining. A dog is running. The trees are green. This exercise helps you practice vocabulary and observation skills at the same time. I often used pictures from magazines and newspapers. They gave me endless topics to write about. Writing lists is another simple way to practice English. You can write shopping lists, goal lists, travel plans, daily tasks, favorite movies, favorite books. For example, my goals: learn 10 new words, read 1 chapter, practice speaking, write 1 page. Simple lists still help you use English regularly. Another great habit is writing short stories. Do not worry about creating a masterpiece. Just create a simple story. For example, there was a small cat. The cat lived in a big house. One day, the cat found a ball. It played with the ball all afternoon. The cat was very happy. This story uses basic vocabulary, but it helps you practice sentence building and creativity. When I first started writing stories, they were very short. Over time, they became longer and more detailed. Let's talk about mistakes. Many learners avoid writing because they fear mistakes. But mistakes are part of learning. Every writer makes mistakes. Every learner makes mistakes. I made countless mistakes in my journal. Sometimes my grammar was wrong. Sometimes my spelling was incorrect. But every mistake taught me something new. Instead of asking, "Did I make mistakes?" ask, "What can I learn from these mistakes?" This mindset makes learning much more enjoyable. Another useful tip is to write regularly. You do not need to write for hours. Even 10 minutes a day can make a big difference. Consistency is more important than quantity. I made writing part of my daily routine. Some days I wrote one paragraph. Other days I wrote several pages. The important thing was that I practiced regularly. Reading your writing aloud is also helpful. When you read aloud, you can hear awkward sentences and notice mistakes more easily. I often discovered errors simply by listening to my own writing. Another helpful habit is rewriting simple sentences. For example, I like books. I enjoy reading books. Books are my favorite hobby. Reading books makes me happy. This exercise teaches you different ways to express the same idea. Writing also helps you build confidence. Every sentence you write is progress. Every paragraph you complete is an achievement. Over time, writing becomes easier and more natural. Remember, you do not need advanced vocabulary to be a good writer. Simple English can communicate powerful ideas. Focus on clarity. Focus on practice. Focus on expressing yourself. The more you write, the stronger your English becomes. Writing helps your vocabulary grow, strengthens your grammar, improves your speaking, and increases your confidence. In the next chapter, we will learn how listening to simple English can improve your understanding, pronunciation, and communication skills. Chapter 6. How listening to simple English improves your understanding. Listening is one of the most powerful ways to learn English. Before we learn to speak well, we must learn to listen well. Listening helps us understand how English sounds. It teaches us pronunciation, vocabulary, sentence structure, and natural expressions. When I first started learning English, listening was very difficult for me. When native speakers talked, their words seemed too fast. Sometimes it sounded like one long word instead of many separate words. I felt frustrated because I could read English much better than I could understand it. One day, I decided to start listening to very simple English stories. At first, I understood only a few words, but I listened every day. Slowly, I began to recognize more vocabulary. After a few months, I noticed a big improvement. The words became clearer, and my confidence grew. That experience taught me something important. Listening is a skill that improves with practice. Many learners think they need to understand every word they hear, but that is not necessary. When listening, focus on understanding the main idea. For example, imagine you hear, "Yesterday I went to the market and bought some fruit." Even if you miss one word, you can still understand the basic meaning. When I was learning, I stopped worrying about understanding everything. Instead, I focused on understanding the message. This made listening much less stressful. One of the best ways to practice listening is by using simple materials. You can listen to English learning podcasts, children's stories, simple audiobooks, beginner lessons, easy YouTube videos, short news reports. These resources use clear language and slower speech, making them perfect for learners. I started with children's stories because the vocabulary was simple and the speakers talked clearly. Those stories helped me build a strong listening foundation. Another important tip is to listen every day. Even 10 or 15 minutes a day can make a difference. Consistency is more important than listening for many hours once a week. I created a simple routine. Every morning, I listened to English while eating breakfast. It became part of my daily habit. Over time, my listening skills improved naturally. Listening also helps improve pronunciation. When you hear words repeatedly, you learn how they are supposed to sound. For example, you may read the word comfortable one way, but when you hear native speakers say it, you notice the correct pronunciation. I learned many pronunciations through listening. Some words sounded very different from what I expected. Hearing them regularly helped me speak more naturally. Another useful technique is repeating what you hear. This is sometimes called shadowing. Listen to a short sentence and repeat it aloud. For example, I like reading books. I like reading books. The weather is beautiful today. The weather is beautiful today. This exercise improves both listening and speaking at the same time. I practice shadowing every evening. At first, it felt difficult, but after some time, my pronunciation became much better. Let's also talk about listening to songs. Songs can be fun learning tools. They help you remember words and phrases through repetition. I often listen to simple English songs. Some songs stayed in my mind all day. Because I heard the words repeatedly, I remembered them easily. However, remember that some songs use informal language or unusual grammar. Songs are useful, but they should be only one part of your learning. Movies and television shows can also help. When watching English videos, try using subtitles. At first, use English subtitles if possible. This allows you to hear and read the words at the same time. I learned many expressions by watching simple television shows. The combination of sound and text helped me understand more quickly. Another helpful habit is listening to the same material multiple times. Many learners listen once and move on, but repetition is very powerful. The first time, you may understand 50%. The second time, you may understand 70%. The third time, you may understand 90%. I often listen to the same story several times. Each time I noticed new words and details. Do not feel embarrassed if you need to repeat audio. Repetition is a normal part of learning. Let's talk about active listening. Active listening means paying close attention. Instead of letting English play in the background, focus on key words, important ideas, pronunciation, sentence patterns. When I listened actively, I learned much faster than when I listened casually. Another good exercise is taking notes while listening. Write down new words, interesting phrases, questions you have, important ideas. Later, review your notes and practice using the new vocabulary. I carried a notebook during my listening practice. Writing down useful expressions helped me remember them. Listening also teaches natural English. Textbooks often teach formal language. Listening shows you how people actually speak in daily life. You learn common expressions like, "How are you?" "See you later." "That sounds great." "I'm not sure." "No problem." These phrases appear often in real conversations. The more you hear them, the more naturally you can use them yourself. Remember, listening improvement takes time. Some days you will understand a lot. Other days you may feel confused. This is completely normal. I experienced many difficult days while learning. Sometimes I felt like I was not improving. But when I looked back after several months, I realized how much progress I had made. The key is patience and consistency. Keep listening, keep learning, keep practicing. Every minute you spend listening helps train your ears. Every new word you hear expands your vocabulary. Every conversation you understand increases your confidence. Listening is like opening a door to the English language. The more you listen, the wider that door opens. In the next and final chapter, we will bring everything together and learn how to make simple English a natural part of your daily life so you can continue improving every day. Chapter 7. Making simple English part of your daily life. Learning English is not something you do only in a classroom. It is not something you practice only when you open a textbook. English becomes easier when it becomes part of your everyday routine. The more you use it in daily life, the more natural it feels. When I first started learning English, I treated it like a school subject. I studied for 1 hour, then I stopped thinking about it until the next day. My progress was very slow. Then I changed my approach. Instead of studying English only during study time, I started using English throughout my day. That simple change made a huge difference. One of the first things I did was change the language on my phone to English. At first, it was confusing. I had to look up some words. But after a few weeks, I became familiar with many common English terms. Every time I used my phone, I was learning something new. You can do the same. Look for small opportunities to use English every day. For example, read English messages, watch English videos, listen to English podcasts, write simple notes in English, think in English. Speak English whenever possible. These small actions may seem simple, but together they create powerful learning opportunities. Another important habit is thinking in English. Many learners translate everything from their native language. This takes time and makes speaking harder. Instead, try thinking directly in English. Start with simple thoughts. For example, I am hungry. It is a sunny day. I need to buy milk. I am going to work. These short thoughts train your brain to use English naturally. I remember when I first started thinking in English. It felt strange at first. I had to stop and search for words. But with practice, it became easier. Eventually, some thoughts came to me automatically in English. Another useful habit is describing your surroundings. Look around and describe what you see. For example, the room is clean. There is a table near the window. The weather is warm. The children are playing outside. This simple exercise helps you practice vocabulary and sentence building. I often described places while walking. I talked quietly to myself in English. It was free practice, and it helped me become more comfortable with the language. Let's talk about setting small, daily goals. Big goals can sometimes feel overwhelming. Small goals are easier to achieve. For example, learn 5 new words. Read 1 page. Write 5 sentences. Listen to English for 10 minutes. Have 1 short conversation. These goals are simple, but they create steady progress. When I was learning English, I kept a small notebook with daily goals. Each time I completed a goal, I checked it off. Seeing my progress motivated me to continue. Another important thing is consistency. Many learners study for several hours one day and then do nothing for the rest of the week. This approach is not very effective. It is better to practice a little every day. 10 minutes every day is often more helpful than 3 hours once a week. I made English part of my daily routine. Some days I practiced for a long time. Other days I practiced for only a few minutes. The important thing was that I practiced regularly. Let's also talk about confidence. Many learners wait until they feel ready before speaking English. But confidence comes from practice, not from waiting. You do not need perfect English to communicate. You do not need a large vocabulary to start speaking. You do not need perfect grammar to share your ideas. You only need the courage to try. I made many mistakes when I was learning. Sometimes I used the wrong word. Sometimes my grammar was incorrect. But every mistake helped me improve. Remember, mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are lessons. Another useful tip is to celebrate your progress. Every new word is progress. Every page you read is progress. Every sentence you write is progress. Every conversation you have is progress. Learning a language takes time, so celebrate the small victories. I remember feeling proud when I finished my first English book. It was a simple book, but it represented months of hard work. That achievement motivated me to continue learning. It is also important to stay positive. Some days will be easy. Some days will be difficult. There will be times when you feel stuck. There will be times when you feel frustrated. This is normal. Every learner experiences challenges. When I felt discouraged, I reminded myself how far I had already come. Instead of focusing on what I did not know, I focused on what I had learned. That positive attitude helped me continue moving forward. Another great habit is surrounding yourself with English. Listen to English music. Follow English content online. Read English signs. Watch English movies. Join English learning communities. The more English you see and hear, the more familiar it becomes. Think of learning English as planting a tree. Every word you learn is a seed. Every sentence you practice is water. Every conversation is sunlight. Day by day, your tree grows stronger. You may not notice growth every day, but if you continue caring for it, the results will come. Remember that simple English is powerful. It allows you to communicate clearly. It helps you build confidence. It creates a strong foundation for future learning. You do not need difficult words to be successful. You do not need complicated grammar to express your ideas. You only need to start, practice regularly, and keep going. As we come to the end of this journey, remember that learning English is not about being perfect. It is about making progress. Every day you practice is a step forward. Every effort matters. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope these lessons help you use simple English with confidence. Keep reading, keep writing, keep listening, keep speaking. Most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Your English journey is just beginning, and every step you take brings you closer to your goals. Thank you, and I wish you success on your English learning journey.